The crisp Colorado air filled Officer Ryan Carter's lungs as he tightened his jacket against the autumn chill. In the passenger seat sat Shadow, a highly trained German shepherd whose sharp brown eyes scanned the night like living searchlights. Together for 4 years, Ryan and Shadow shared an unspoken bond. One glance or a slight shift in posture said more than words ever could. Shadow wasn't just a police dog. He was Ryan's partner, his protector, and above all, his friend. Tonight, though, a routine patrol would become the most harrowing test of their partnership yet, and it had only just begun. A crackle on the radio shattered the stillness. All units near Rocky Ridge Forest. Suspect fled on foot. Vehicle abandoned at tree line. Approach with caution. May be armed. Ryan's fingers moved on autopilot as he grabbed the receiver. His voice was calm, decisive. This is Carter. Shadow and I are en route. With a roar, the patrol car lunged forward, blue and red lights painting the silent streets in urgent streaks. Shadow stiffened, ears pricked, recognizing the prelude to action. As streetlights blurred past, he inhaled sharply, ready. They arrived at the forest edge just as the last scraps of daylight vanished. Towering pines loomed like stone sentinels, their trunks rippling in the dance of emergency lights. Sergeant Lisa Reynolds met them, urgency etched in every line of her face. Tracks, head northeast, she reported, voice clicked. Keep up or he'll slip away. Ryan knelt beside Shadow, pressing a steady hand to his back. Find him, buddy, he whispered. In an instant, Shadow's nose touched earth, weaving deliberate circles, until with a sudden firmness, he shot forward into the trees. Ryan flicked on his flashlight and followed, swallowed by darkness. The forest closed in around them, each step crunching damp leaves, each breath tasting of rain too. The scent of wet earth mixed with the piney hush, broken only by the wind weaving through branches. Ryan knew this terrain, hidden roots to trip an eager foot, and recent rains that turned the ground into a treacherous quilt of mud. Yet Shadow moved like a phantom, precise and unerring. Together they pressed deeper until, snap, a branch broke underfoot to their left. But Shadow didn't flinch. Another crack to their right. Still, he pointed straight ahead. Ryan realized they were being baited to walk into a trap. With a silent nod, he shifted, and they skirted the obvious ruse, trusting his partner's instincts. Rain began in slow beads, then sheets, blurring the edges of Ryan's world. His jacket grew heavy, flashlight beam wavering. But Shadow, wind-winked and mud-splattered, remained his steadfast guide. Suddenly, the dog froze. Ryan's heart slammed as he scanned the gloom and saw movement. The suspect was scrambling up a rocky incline, feet stepping on slick stones. Ryan's hand went to his weapon, but Shadow exploded forward. Shadow, wait, Ryan called, but gravity and rain had already conspired. Shadow's powerful body slipped. Time slowed as Ryan lunged. Fingers brushed wet fur just as both plunged toward the precipice. With a roar of effort, Ryan grabbed Shadow's collar and anchored himself against a gnarled tree root. Shadow thrashed, claws scrabbling for purchase. In that heartbeat, Ryan's world narrowed to fur and muscle and the desperate will to survive. He heaved, muscles screaming, and with one final surge, hauled them both to safety. They collapsed on the forest floor, chests heaving. In the flashlight's glare, Ryan saw crimson staining mud, a deep gash on Shadow's front leg. No longer a pursuit. This was now a fight for life. Ryan eased beneath Shadow's weight, sliding him onto his lap. Even as a seasoned canine officer, lifting 90 pounds of injured muscle tested every fibre of his strength. Hold on, buddy, he murmured, voice thick with determination. Each careful step forward was a battle against quagmire mud and pouring rain. Then, snap! A branch broke. This time, Shadow's body tensed in Ryan's arms. They were not alone. Eyes sweeping the storm-bent trees, Ryan saw nothing, yet sensed everything. Then he noticed Shadow wasn't focused on where they'd heard the steps. His gaze fixed somewhere else, ahead toward a half-hidden snare of fallen logs and wet earth. Lightning jagged across the sky, revealing a crouched figure near meters away. No time to hesitate. Ryan pivoted, charging downhill and into the unknown. The steps quickened behind them. Rain stung his face as adrenaline blurred pain and fear. But the pursuer was blind to the trap below. With a crack, the earth gave way and a startled shout vanished into the storm as one threat was ripped from the chase. Ryan didn't pause. Headlights glimmered through the trees, a distant hope of safety. He pushed forward, exhaustive weight heavy in his arms and lungs burning. Then a final surge of footfalls closed in. He spun, nearly toppling in the mud, and squared off against the last adversary, mere paces away. "Drop your weapon!" came Sergeant Reynolds' command, sirens and beans converging in a crescendo of relief and authority. Within moments, officers swarmed the scene, securing the suspect. Ryan's only thought was Shadow. He knelt beside his partner, lifting him gently onto a stretcher. Blood seeped into Ryan's uniform, but Shadow's dark eyes met his with unwavering faith. "You're gonna be okay, buddy," Ryan rasped, voice thick with emotion. Shadow exhaled, tail giving a faint wag. As the ambulance door closed, dawn's pale light edged over the horizon. Together, they had weathered a storm of danger and come through stronger. If Ryan and Shadow's story of loyalty and courage moved you, please like, comment your thoughts, and subscribe. Join our community of 1,000 subscribers and help us share more unforgettable tales of devotion and bravery. The bond between a handler and his canine is unbreakable, and with your support, we'll bring you countless more stories that prove it. As the ambulance's taillights vanished into the dawn-painted sky, Ryan Carter remained kneeling on the damp forest floor, hands still resting gently on Shadow's side. He felt the tremor of the dog's laboured breathing beneath his palms, a soft reminder that their ordeal was far from over. Yet in those ragged breaths, Ryan heard the echo of resilience, a testament to a partnership forged in blood, mud, and unyielding loyalty. He closed his eyes for a moment, letting the forest's hush wash over him, broken only by the distant click of approaching backup units securing the perimeter. Minutes later, lights glowed from emergency vehicles clustered near the highway. A medic approached, her face lined with exhaustion, but kind as she checked Shadow's vitals. Ryan rose, shoulders heavy but resolute, as paramedics loaded his partner onto a stretcher and into the back of the ambulance once more. He placed a protective hand on Shadow's flank, voices fading to a soft murmur as the back doors closed. The medic gave him a nod, silent assurance that Shadow was in capable hands. "Stay here," Ryan whispered. "I'll be back in 10. But as he turned toward the road, his boots sank into the mud, forcing him to pause. He looked back at the dark, dripping trees and remembered the snap of branches that had signalled danger, the treacherous slide that nearly claimed his partner's life. The ache in his muscles mirrored the storm's aftermath, each throb a reminder of how close they'd come to losing everything that night. Swallowing hard, Ryan made a promise, not only to Shadow, but to himself. He would never take a single patrol, a single mission, or a single breath for granted again. By the time he reached the ambulance bay at the mountain town's only hospital, the sun was breaking over the ridgeline in shades of orange and lavender. A nurse met him at the doors, glancing at his mud-spattered uniform and the grim set of his jaw. "You must be Officer Carter," she said quietly. "The veterinarian wants to speak with you before surgery." Ryan followed her down a sterile hallway, each footstep echoing with the weight of the night's memories. The veterinarian's office was small and lined with certificates of Canine Valor Awards. Dr. Elena Mendez looked up from a chart as Ryan entered, her expression sympathetic. "Shadow took a nasty laceration," she explained, tapping the chart. "It's deep, but we'll clean it thoroughly and repair the muscle damage. He'll need at least 2 weeks of recovery and physical therapy to get back to full strength." Ryan nodded, absorbing every word. "Will he be okay?" His voice was low, nearly a whisper. "He's tough," Dr. Mendez replied with a gentle smile. "He's survived worse with you by his side." She paused, then added, "You should rest too. Both of you do." Ryan exhaled, tension easing slightly at her confidence. As he signed necessary forms, he realized how keenly he felt the bonds that held them together. Bonds stitched across 4 years of training, danger, and unwavering companionship. That evening, Ryan sat on a bench outside the hospital, watching clouds drift above the jagged peaks. He replayed the night's events in his mind. The first command to find the suspect, the trap they narrowly avoided, the harrowing rescue on the muddy slope, and the final stand beneath crackling sirens. Each memory sparked gratitude and an even deeper respect for Shadow's instincts. In the distance, he could hear the faint echo of a patrol car reminding him that duty never sleeps. Pulling his phone from his pocket, Ryan opened the channel's post description and began typing a brief update. "Shadow is stable and in surgery. Thank you all for your support. We'll get through this together." He ended with the phrase they both lived by: stay safe and watch each other's backs. With that, he set the phone aside and leaned back, letting the night's adrenaline ebb into quiet reflection. As the first stars emerged, Ryan glanced at the mountains and silently vowed, when Shadow returned, they would walk those trails again. This time in the morning light, side by side, free from danger, but forever bound by the trust born in darkness. And when the world watched their story, he would remind everyone that true courage is not measured in actions alone, but in the unwavering loyalty between a man and his dog. Because no matter what tomorrow brings, they would face it together.